The jury deliberated for just 2 hours. 2 hours. To decide whether a man would spend the rest of his life in prison. The verdict was guilty. The courtroom applauded. The victim's family cried in relief. And one man stood frozen, insisting he didn't do it. What no one realized that day was that the evidence used to convict him didn't actually prove he was there. This is the story of a conviction that looked airtight until it began to fall apart. In 2012, 29-year-old business owner Rachel Dawson was found dead inside her apartment. There were signs of a struggle. No forced entry. Her phone was missing. Her laptop wiped. Investigators believed she knew her attacker. And quickly, one name surfaced. Her ex-boyfriend, Marcus Hill. They had broken up 2 months earlier. Friends described arguments. Police described motive. It felt simple. Too simple. The prosecution built their case around 3 key pieces of evidence. Marcus's fingerprints were found in the apartment. A neighbor claimed they heard a male voice arguing. Marcus had no solid alibi for a 2-hour window. To the jury, that was enough. But here's what they didn't hear clearly enough. Marcus's fingerprints were expected. He had dated Rachel for 3 years. The neighbor never actually saw him. And phone records placed Marcus miles away, earlier that night. But the timeline felt close enough. Close enough to convict. 2 years into his sentence, a new attorney reviewed the case. One detail stood out. Rachel's phone had never been recovered. Yet her call log showed an outgoing call at 11:47 p.m. Prosecutors argued Marcus made that call after the murder. But cell tower data showed the phone pinged in a different part of the city. At the exact same time Marcus's phone pinged somewhere else. That meant one of 2 things. Either Marcus cloned a phone signal, or someone else had it. The new defense team re-examined forensic evidence. There was unidentified DNA under Rachel's fingernails. At trial, it was dismissed as inconclusive. It was never tested against national databases. Why? Because investigators believed they already had their man. Then came another discovery. Security footage from a nearby convenience store showed Rachel entering with a man, hours before her death. That footage was never presented in court. The man was not Marcus. 8 years after the conviction, new DNA testing technology advanced. The unidentified DNA was finally run through a broader system. It matched a man with a prior assault charge in another state. He had recently moved to Rachel's neighborhood in 2012. And here's the twist. He had dated Rachel briefly, for 2 weeks, after she broke up with Marcus. Police never pursued him, because they were already focused on the ex-boyfriend. When confronted with DNA and location data, he confessed. Not just to Rachel's murder, but to stalking her for weeks. Marcus Hill had spent 8 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. 8 birthdays. 8 holidays. 8 years labeled a killer. When the conviction was overturned, there was no applause. Just silence. Because justice had come late. And late justice doesn't return time. The jury only needed 2 hours. But the truth needed 8 years. This case wasn't just about a crime. It was about tunnel vision, assumptions, and how quickly a narrative can become a verdict. Because sometimes, the most dangerous mistake isn't the crime itself. It's believing you've already solved it. If you think justice should never depend on assumptions, subscribe. Because some stories deserve a second look.